Hello and welcome to another Synty Studios live stream. Today we are celebrating International Women's Day. It was International Women's Day yesterday for us in New Zealand. It's pretty much everywhere around the world at the moment. But yeah, so it's a special live stream today, something a little different, but I hope you all have fun and enjoy it. Today you're here with myself, Bree, Community Manager. You're here with Hayley, our People and Culture Manager at Synty. We're here with Layla, long time no see Layla. She's our Marketing Manager. And we're here with Ash, who is our Junior 3D artist. So today we're going to be going through sort of, I guess, each of our different experiences being a woman in the industry, different levels as well, with Ash being a junior, Hayley being more of the senior side of things. So we're all here to sort of give our tips and tricks, advice, inspiration, stuff like that to, maybe get your inspiration running. I'd also like to just let everyone know in the description for the stream we have a link to the new Women and Dev Hub on the Synty website. It's a real cool sort of landing page for checking out inspirational stories for other women in dev, beginner sort of tutorials for if you're wanting to get into it yourself, and the free asset that Ash made as well, the bubblegum kill stick, is on there as well. Awesome. Now, shall we get into things? We'll start with Ash, our 3D junior artist.
What is up, guys? So, when I came up with the idea for the kill stick, they asked me to create an asset for International Women's Day. And when I was thinking of the ideas, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of women is that we're powerful and badass. So I wanted to create a prop that was powerful and badass and kind of girly. So it's got little trinkets and stuff on it too.
Yeah, I love the little charms.
The trinkets.
Yeah, it is so good, honestly. And it, from what I can tell, the community also loves it. So definitely a hit on that one.
You gotta look stylish when you're killing zombies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen some amazing creations from the community already with it, so it's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played the nun on the Vespa.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Yeah. I literally played it for like good 2 minutes, and I was like, man, this is so entertaining. So good.
It was done so quickly as well.
I know.
Yeah, well,
like, whoa.
I was like, how did they do that so fast?
Honestly,
this community of ours is
Yeah.
very, very
absolute
talented.
machines.
Beasts.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on, Ash.
Yeah, so I have a couple tips for everyone if they want to get into art and get into kind of what we do and what I do with prop design and 3D art and stuff like that. So my first tip is never be afraid to ask questions. And I know how cliche that sounds, but honestly, it's so true. Like, I can guarantee you, whatever you're thinking, it's already been asked. So just ask it, because it's helpful. My second tip is to join the art discords. These are really, really helpful tools for you, and they allow you to connect with other artists and learn valuable information and techniques, and they give you feedback, which is my next point. Ask for feedback. Honestly, from everyone. Ask from your peers, ask from your parents, ask from your mentors, your teammates, everyone. Feedback is so valuable for us. And I know that, like, artists create things and we have emotional connections to what we create, and so it's hard to receive feedback, but honestly it's such a valuable tool for all of us. Yeah. And also, you're never too old to start learning something that you love. I started uni 8 years after I graduated high school, which is quite a gap, but it was the best decision that I've ever made. And you're never too old to start learning about a passion. Whether it's to get into game dev or to be a hobbyist, there's no age cap on learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. So those are my tips. And so
Great
I'll
tips.
pass you back on to Bree.
Onto me. So I'm going to cover, I guess, the community side of things, being a community manager. Honestly, I didn't even know community manager was a role before I got into it. I used to just be a retail store manager for a company that sold video games. So technically I've been in the gaming, I guess the games industry for a bit, but in different experiences. So yeah, I had no idea community manager was a role. And I think that goes to show that there's so many roles out there that you probably didn't even know existed, and how important those roles are too, such as, the marketing side of things and the community. Because when you're developing a game, your community is so important to you. They are some of your main supporters for the development of your game. So, yeah, it's a lot bigger than I expected, which is super awesome. And it's with community management as well. I think I find I guess what you could say a tip from me would be just your communication. Communication is such an important factor, but that's not just talking to people. It's not just having a conversation. It's understanding the needs of the people in your community. What they're into, what sort of listening, once going back on Ash, listening to their feedback as well, taking on their feedback because it is important, and just understanding the needs of your community, because it does allow you to understand those people better. It allows you to understand your community better. It allows you to get to know them more, and provide them with the content that they want to see as well. I picked up a lot of those communication skills through working in retail, so you can pull those from anywhere, really. As surprising as it may be, I used to be a very introverted person, so I never imagined myself in this role, that's for sure. But it is such an amazing industry, and I'm incredibly thankful as well for where I am and being able to work in, my passion. I get to do my passion as a job, which is amazing. I guess sort of another tip is, thank you, don't take the struggles, the bad days and negative interactions and the stresses as a step back. Don't let all of that demotivate you, because it is so important for your growth if you are wanting to get into this role. I sort of used the bad days and, the bad experiences as motivation to keep going, because it was such a huge passion. And I think just fueling your passion into your work is going to be huge when getting into this industry, because passion is a huge thing, and it's such an amazing industry to be in as well. Yeah, gosh, I think I've rambled a bit. But yeah, I guess that's my tips and tricks. Just being able to be open and communicative with the people you work with and your community is so huge, and it's so rewarding as well. Yeah, so I think that's all from me. Layla with the marketing. I guess it sort of files into that.
Yeah, definitely gets grouped into that. But no, firstly, Brie, that was really great, because I think one of the things that people often don't necessarily consider is just being just actually talking to people, just be open and have that conversation with them. People, if you allow people to go on this journey with you and you communicate everything that you're doing and just be open with them, it's more likely that they will have your back and be more accepting of things. So I think communication is definitely the most important thing. Anyway, so I'll sort of be touching on marketing considerations. My piece is a bit longer, because the reason I did this was I know how much passion indie devs have, or devs in general, making your game, and you get so into it, and you develop this amazing game for everyone, and you just want everyone to enjoy it. But yeah, a common misconception is that you only start doing the marketing after you've done all of that, which in some cases, rare cases, it does work, but I highly recommend that you start marketing your game as soon as you start even planning it. As soon as you have this idea of you want to make this game, you bloody start working on it. So yeah, so you start just getting everything ready. So from my experience, I can quickly go over 3 important areas to consider when marketing your game. So there's sort of like, I've grouped it into 3 little areas. So the first one is internal, and this is going to be brand related, and I will explain that. I'll get into that now. Then I've sort of grouped like product and content into one area, and then we have external. So for internal, which is like brand focused, and this is the difficult one because this is a long-term decision for you. So whether you're publishing the game as yourself or as a company, you should develop a identity first. This is going to help you keep your message consistent throughout all your touch points. And at the end of the day, your brand is your reputation. And this is what players will relate to and eventually like build trust upon. So because like they'll know what they get from you every time they sort of interact with you, because they'll know like, this brand is always delivering on ABC. So sort of what I mean by that and how to build your brand, have a think about like, how do you want to be portrayed by your audience? Do you want your brand to be comedic and playful, or more transparent and serious, or more be like, or more quality related? So yeah, like what is the most important factor for you? Like what do you want to be known for? Because this will like eventually drip feed into your game. It might not necessarily be the mechanics, but it will be more relating to like music, storyline, characters, or will somehow influence your game, but it will also influence the content that you create. So yeah, so having an identity and who you are first, I feel like is the most important step. And also like, you don't need to be just one thing. So for example, with Synty, like our brand is about quality, creativity, and being a little tongue in cheek, like a little bit, or maybe a lot. I don't know. But the most important out of all of them for us is the quality, because that's what we're known for, right? For our assets being quality assets. So if we all of a sudden stop delivering on that, on the quality, people are now gonna they're gonna not trust us anymore, and they're gonna start questioning like who we are as a company, and that is just not a good thing. And it feels like a betrayal. Like we've all experienced it.
Yeah.
Like we've all went through it where it's like, you love this brand, you buy into them, you tell your friends about them, like you love everything that they stand for, and all of a sudden that like some messages change, or they do something that you're like, what is this? And now all of a sudden you don't even know, you're like, I don't know what to do with myself. So yeah, so that is why a brand is important. So that sort of feeds into your product and content. So I feel like product and content sits like in between the middle of your brand and the external, which is going to be your audience. And what I mean by that is that for your product, you will likely create something that has elements of your brand in it, like we just mentioned before, but you also have to keep your audience in mind when doing it. So for indie devs, like if you're starting out your game, or you're in your journey of your game, I think a good point would be to do research and read reviews from players on games that might have similar style to yours, and see like what they're saying, what they like, what they don't like, so that you can use that to make your own game better, and also take that into mind when building your game. And as Ash mentioned, also listen to feedback. Like, I know it's hard. We all get it. Like, it's hard. Because also when you're creating something that you've put your heart into it, and you're just like, please don't tell me this is not good. But at the end of the day, it's still a product, and nobody like wants you to fail. So take it with a grain of salt. Listen to what they have to say. You don't always necessarily have to agree, but like listen to what they're saying and understand why they're saying it, and then improve on what needs to be done in order for you to be successful. It's basically like just bug testing stuff. Basically.
The same.
Exactly. It's totally the same. So, and then for content, this is the interesting one, right? So you should consider developing content that is true to your brand again, but also speaks to your audience. So, like I've mentioned before, if your brand is more playful, the copy that you write for social or whatever, like newsletters, blogs, or whatever form of marketing you're going to take on, like maybe the copy should be like more upbeat and informal, but you should still like take your audience again into consideration, like with how do they speak, like what are the languages that they use, so that you can work that into your copy so that you can relate to them, but also and like also be a little bit more authentic. um and I know it's intimidating to create content, I know, especially when you have little to no experience, but luckily, there are some tools that already exist that can help you. So, for example, and we might have some people disagreeing here, but hey, we're just going to go for it. So ChatGPT, don't knock it until you've tried it. Just saying.
It's so handy.
It really
Honestly, so
is.
good.
Yeah.
And I'll get into like what I discovered, which is really exciting. But so what you can do is you can tell ChatGPT to write 10 social media posts using the below, and then you write out what your game is about, what the mechanics is, what is the style, the music, like whatever you want to mention. You put it in there, and then you ask it, like you can even limit the character amount or the paragraphs or whatever for social. So then it will like generate 10 social posts for you. And then what you do for the next point is you tell ChatGPT to put it in a table format. And then you copy that table into Excel or Google Sheets, like whatever option you have available. And then all my graphic designers, if there's any, are like gonna hate on me, but I'm just gonna go for it. So then you take your Excel sheet or Google Sheet and you upload this to Canva or Adobe Express. So Canva does have a free version, or Adobe Express has, if you have Creative Cloud, you can get Adobe Express. And what you do with this is you use the bulk upload tool to now upload all these 10 posts that ChatGPT has given you into Canva, for example. And Canva will prompt you to create a layout and just choose some images and stuff, and it will automatically like generate 10 images for you based on it'll use like words and images and things, so it'll create like a nice layout for you. Then, as the last step for Hootsuite or equivalent, they do have a free version. You take this, you take your copy, you take the images, you do a bulk upload on Hootsuite, and then you pretty much you schedule that in across like 2 weeks, and you have content for 2 weeks being posted to your audience without like with just 2 hours of work in one day. So that already, so now you don't even have to worry about like coming up with something or stress about like, oh my god, I need to post something today, and as we all like stress about it. And it's literally as easy as that. Um, so, but for video, like for indie devs, I would recommend, if you're gonna, um, if you can, maybe record yourself or like building out your game, or do a live stream, or just some form of video content, because that means you're sort of taking people on this journey with you. They get to build your game with you. And honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody likes perfection anyway. It's really freaking boring. So all you have to do is just make sure that you improve on one thing in your video at least. So just one thing. So whether it's lighting for your next video, whether it's where you look at the camera for your next one, or your notes, or the way that you speak, or whatever it is, like just one thing. And then eventually it will get to a point where you feel more natural and you feel a lot more like, shit, I got this, But yeah, I definitely think just if you can, take people on that journey with you through video, because that's also how they see your brand come to life, and they can build a relationship with you. Oh, not that. With you. And which is honestly, it's like, that is like the best. So just touching on the last one now, which is the external, which is our audience, which is the most important. Well, okay, no, I feel everything's important, but also, yeah, anyway. So,
You're like, I can't have favorites.
yeah, wait, it's like, what is my favorite? Actually, I do love this one the most, personally. So external, which is your audiences. So know the people who you are making the game for. Like, what do they like? What don't they like? Like, what language do they use again? For example, Gen Z says stuff like, "This is fire," which apparently means this is amazing. I learned that the other day.
There we go.
Amazing. Oh, great. Such a millennial. Anyway, what type of like gamers are they? And what time do they usually game? So, for example, if you're making a hyper casual game, this could be targeted towards the working class, like who just wants to relax, who don't have a lot of time and not necessarily like hardcore games. So you'll sort of like figure out when to like post content to them or like what type of content to create for them. And yeah, I think that is the like yeah what yes. I'm agreeing with myself.
You're like, yes, that is
Oh,
right.
yes, that's good. Anyway, so if yeah, I'll wrap this up because I feel like I've been rambling on too long. But if there's something that I want you to just take away from today, like from this, is that take the people on the journey with you. Take your audience on the journey with you. That's how you build your community. And honestly, yeah, like because that's how you build your community. Because eventually people will, like I say, like they start building that relationship with you and they start building that trust. And that's where they start telling other people. It's like they will go to other communities, their friends, their families. They will talk about what you're making, who you are. And honestly, this is like word of mouth will forever be the strongest form of marketing that exists. And that's my opinion. Don't come for me. Like, I'm just saying, it's my opinion.
Yeah. And then
so,
you're like, boom, you'll take off like Minecraft.
which, yeah. So yeah, don't think of marketing as like this big mountain that lies in front of you and it's like super daunting. So just take it a step at a time. The beauty of marketing is that the only constant is change. So nothing has to be perfect. You don't have to have this perfect formula, but have ideas, test them out, improve at least one thing, like I said. And yeah, over time, you'll see that it just becomes more natural. Like marketing is trial and error. And that's it. That is it. That's me. I think this is a good
Nice.
segue to sort of like
It is.
go into you, Hayley. Like,
I know.
Hey.
I sat here listening to you later and I was thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much crossover with marketing
Yes.
and people and culture. There was also crossover because my segment's going to be long as well.
Love that.
But I was sitting there thinking about like brand, for example, you mentioned is your reputation. Well, your people and
Yeah.
culture that influences your people, right? And they're a walking and talking billboard of what it's like to work in your business.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I was thinking, wow, so many points you're saying kind of link in with my talk too. So
I never thought that
segueing
marketing
and
and
you
people
didn't even
and
know it.
culture. Yeah, like I never thought that it would like actually cross over, but you're so right.
Yeah,
It's amazing. Now I learned something new too. Thank you, Hayley.
Learn something new every day.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
appreciate it.
Touches on Ash's point too around we're always learning. You're never too old.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, with that in mind, today I'm going to give everyone a bit of a sneak peek into the world of people and culture, but more specifically, if you're running a game development team, how you can create a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment. So your people are walking around and they're loving what they do and they're sharing their stories because you want that out there, right? But also I'll touch on some questions that you could also ask that will help you if you're interviewing as well. Because I know there'll be a bunch of people out there who are starting their career and they want to work in a company that they can thrive in and that is inclusive. So I'll give you some good questions that you can ask in interviews too. But yeah, I'll start with what is people and culture. A lot of terms have been thrown around over the years. You might have heard HR, you might have heard employee experience. at Synty, we're called People and Culture, but it basically encapsulates a whole bunch of different disciplines, and we sum it up really about what everything people encounter or observe over their time within an organization. So that's right from their first interaction they have with your business through to them maybe starting in your team, being onboarded, developing in their role, and even the experience of them leaving your business or your team. So we call that overall, all of those touch points, the employee experience journey typically. But you might be thinking, why is it important? Well, it is really important, and it does even touch on your bottom line. So they do say that if you're investing in your people and your employee experience, that they'll be then creating better product, which then attracts more customers, which then makes you more money, which is great, right? But yeah, I'll give you some tips on where to start. And I love a bit of a framework. And you'll see on the slide there that I've got what I call the kind of 4 C's. So this would apply for even if you're a 2-person game development company or you're a 200 plus, you can use this kind of framework in any organization basically. So number 1 is connection. So experiences that you design should always be guided by the views of the people that they support. So very similar to Layla in marketing and knowing your audience. It's the same with people and culture, right? So this means connecting with your people really regularly, getting to know them, getting to know their views, getting to know their perspectives. And how you do this could vary on how big your team really is. So if you're a small company, that could be as simple as just meeting one-on-one with your person each week and asking them questions about their experience. So how engaged do they feel at work? Is there someone at work that they're growing from? Are they developing? If you've got a larger team, you could do this in a survey. A lot of companies are now doing kind of pulse check surveys. So once a week, employees are asked maybe 3 questions. And that just means that you're regularly getting to understand your team or your people. And it also helps you identify really quickly if things are working or aren't working. Then the second one is collaboration. So hopefully with connection, you also build a bit of trust because people are sharing with you, you understand them, they understand you. So with collaboration, we should now have a foundation of trust and understanding. And like Ash and Layla mentioned, collaboration is really key. So you want to be collaborating with your people on designing those different stages in the employee journey. Again, you can do that in different ways. So as a small team, you could literally brainstorm together. If you're a larger team, you could who have various teams in your company. You could have a representative from each team come along and you all brainstorm together. In our remote environment, we typically do this with Miro, for example, but using tools like that so that you are able to get different people involved. And really the aim of this stage is just to make sure that you have a diverse representation of voices in those discussions and someone who can really champion and ask, how will this affect marginalized groups? So for example, how will this impact on women? Or what about Indigenous people? Do we need to think about that? Should we be designing something for them? Have we accounted for accessibility? Things like dyslexia.
Yeah.
There we go. I got it. Or hearing impairments, like lots of different types of groups of people, right? And you want to be having your head on about what could be applicable when you're designing experiences for them. And they're really kind of common things to ask in that collaboration stage. Yeah. And then we've got change. So similar to marketing, things are always changing, right? And people are constantly changing.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And we don't want to make assumptions, right? And so also remembering that progress is more important than perfection. So with change, you want to make sure in this step that you've really set some kind of clear measures of what's going to be successful for that experience. And then that you've got regular times that you're reviewing it with those groups of people maybe, or with your team and saying, hey, are we actually achieving what we wanted to achieve? Is this experience working for everyone we want it to? Are there things that we should be doing differently? Do we need to change anything? And what you'll find is that if you're doing the step 1 and 2 really well is this actually really happens naturally, because you're getting that real-time information from people, and you're really close to what's important to them. This obviously gets harder as you get larger, but in small teams it can happen almost real time. Yeah, and then the last one is celebration. So I am of the opinion that when you're designing and building great experiences, you should be sharing that and celebrating it. So you want to talk about them internally, talk about them externally, share your stories, talk about how you've tweaked them and evolved them. There's a lot of power in being transparent, and owning when something is working and when it isn't working as well. So yeah, there can be places that you can share those on your social media if you've got a LinkedIn or an Instagram. Some companies do it there. Even talking about it in team meetings really helps foster that kind of culture of, cool, we're making progress, and sometimes we won't get it right, sometimes we will get it right, but we're all in this kind of together and everyone has input. But yeah, so the main thing about those 4 C's is it's just a framework that really helps make sure that you spend time and energy on truly equitable outcomes rather than just the tokenistic initiatives, which Layla spoke about on her LinkedIn, which a lot of companies do, and you want to steer away from that. So understanding your people and actually having a little bit of a framework on how you're going to tackle these things can really help. But yeah, those were my tips on how to kind of create a more inclusive and equitable and diverse environment. But as I said, there might be some of you that are looking for a new role, or maybe you're looking to change companies. You might even be in an interview process right now and you're thinking, is this the right place for me to go? And I always tell people that picking a job is a really important decision, because the place that you work, you spend a lot of time in, you spend a lot of time around those people. And so doing your due diligence on whether that culture is right for you is really important. And my main kind of tip would be get really curious, and it was similar to Ash as well, around asking lots of questions. So one of the ones that I quite often ask, well, what are they focusing on doing to make their workplace more diverse and inclusive? How do they connect and collaborate with their people? So you'll quite quickly understand if they do have processes for that, if it's working, if it's not working. Has there been a situation where feedback from their people has changed the direction on something? That will then clearly show you if they do, first of all, seek feedback, and second, respond to it. What's their process when something does happen that doesn't align with their kind of culture that they want to create? What is their processes in place? Is there people that they can talk to? Have they had situations like that happen? So that can give you reassurance on, if you're not feeling comfortable, what are your avenues that you can use? And then my last one is, quite often with small companies, they don't have like reviews on Glassdoor or open feedback about what it's like to work there. So sometimes I say to people, ask if you can have a chat with a couple of their employees who are maybe outside of that direct hiring team.
Oh no.
Just so
no.
you can ask them general questions about what is it like to work their day to day. Did you
Oh,
say,
Haley.
oh no?
Oh, we're good.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not because of what you said, but your camera froze, or you cut out a bit.
It's okay.
Oh,
You're
did
good now.
You're
I'm
good
good
now.
now.
Yeah.
Let's hope no one took a screenshot of it.
Did anyone? Please post it in the channel.
Yeah, please do.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're like, please post it so we can all laugh.
Yeah.
But actually, that's probably a good place for me to stop, because that was my last little
no.
tip around the questions. Plus, we're also over time, so I don't want to chat too much more. But yeah, I really hope those tips help for you that are like starting your own business or are growing your own team, and for those of you who are looking to join companies. Yeah.
No, those were some really good tips, because I think especially the last little bit for going and researching the company and what people say about them, because I mean, you're so people you're like applying to jobs because you're like, oh, I need to find a job, but you're not actually thinking about like longer term, like what is this company actually the right place for me? Will I grow in this company?
Yeah.
Like, is it going to provide for me what I need from it? Because you're right, like you do spend most of your day in this place, so you might as well like it, or like know that you at least have somewhere to grow. Or it's probably like dependent on what your goal is, right? Because some people like they
For
do want
sure.
to get to like CEO or director level or whatever. So it's like whatever is most important to you, that's what you should look for.
Yeah. I think also looking for a place that has a flexible mindset around things as well. There's
Yeah.
some organizations that they need to be a bit more rigid and structured, but if you're working in a team that is open-minded and is flexible in their approach, then that'll flex with you and your like needs, I guess, as you grow and develop, and will probably mean that you stay there longer, because you won't need to seek something outside of that place.
That's actually very true. So I do have a question, Haley. Like, how would if what advice would you give to someone that might not necessarily meet all the requirements for that job, but they really still wanna like it resonates with them. They could see they could grow into this role. Like it's what they like this is what they want, but yeah. So what
Yeah.
advice would you give to them?
I would say so. If you're external from the company and you read the job ad and you're like, I ticked like 5 of those 8 things, I would say go for it. Like a
Mm.
lot of companies now will look for people who have, I know it sounds really cliche, but growth mindset.
Yeah, no, I
people,
love that.
people who are, yeah, curious self learners who you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. You're open to saying, hey, I don't know all of this yet, but this is how I think I can actually get there, and this is what I might need from you to be able to get there as well. And a lot of companies will say, hey, that's a really great attitude. Like, I want to hire that person because that will
Oh,
translate
cool.
into not only that job, but a lot of other jobs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go for it. Back yourself, I say.
I think just adding on to that as well, because that actually sort of is what happened with it is what happened with me getting into community management. Is I worked in a retail store as a store manager. I'd never done community management before, but I was scouted by a customer actually. So this is before I worked for Synty, and he was like, your communication skills are great. I just think I sold him a Series X or something, and he was so impressed with me. He's like, this company is looking for this role. We think you'd be great. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, I had no idea what the role was. I knew it was running a Discord, and I'm like, well, I love Discord. I know how to use it. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that really sort of works in well with Haley's point there, is if you don't have all the experience, if you've got the motivation and the passion to do it, go for it. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen? They say no. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Move along.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it just wasn't meant to be. Like you went. That was just not going to be the role for you then. I guess. But that's a great story, Bree.
Yeah.
Dang. Being scouted, gal.
I know. It took me by surprise as well. I was like, oh, me?
Compliment though. You're like,
Oh, shucks.
you want me?
Yeah.
I love that. And I'm not sure if we have any questions from the community, but I have a couple for the team. So should I just go for it?
Yeah, if anyone wants to ask any questions quickly in chat, you're more than welcome to go for it, and we'll answer them if we can. I think we're running a little short on time, but we can squeeze in some.
Okay, yeah, I just okay, I'll just keep it to one question that I have for Ash.
You
It's
You
just
ready
like,
for it?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Okay. So, my question to you is, do you need to know how to draw to become an artist? Like, is drawing imperative to have?
Well, I'm a junior 3D artist and I'm not the best at drawing. Like I see Max's concept art and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
it's really good.
two different things, honestly. If you're worried about your talent and your skill with drawing, you can still definitely make it like go far as an artist. As long as you put in the motivation and the time. You can do anything.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Okay, amazing. Great answer. Cool. it. That was my one
Nice.
question.
Do you
I
want
love it.
question?
Does anyone else have questions from community? If not, I want to say a big thank you if no one does have questions. But it was a big thank you to Ash and Layla and Bree, because these three have put in an immense amount of work behind the scenes to get not only this live stream up and running, but also the Women in Game Dev Hub, which if you haven't looked at it, you need to go and look at it. These three are true trailblazers. Like, I think Layla showed me the site, and I think I sent you the gif of the like emotional cry face. I was like,
Yes.
but that was literally me. I was like, I'm just so proud. Like, so yes,
Sweet.
thank you all for your work, and amazing job. And I hope the community really appreciates it. And I know that it's gonna help things in the game dev space too.
Thank you, Hayley.
Thank you.
Excuse
So
me while I go
wholesome.
cry.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my
Who's got a
god,
tissue?
handing me
Don't look
tissues
at
out.
me. Oh, that really thank you very much. It was definitely a great teamwork. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do anything without the team. So, no, it was, yeah. Love you all. Oh wait, there we go.
What is this? Hold on,
That's a
is this a
heart.
kitty cat?
It's a heart. Oh no, this. Oh, Hayley.
Hold
Oh
on.
no.
Is
Okay,
your
okay, you're
index
gonna have to
finger
show
and
me
your
that after
thumbs?
the- You're gonna
Oh,
have
no.
to show me after, right? Okay,
We
I'm not
have,
having
like,
to feel
the
like
ooh
you.
thing and then the little hearts. But I'll teach you. Don't worry, we got it.
Yeah, okay, you teach me later.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, take it out, Bree.
Okie dokie. Yeah, thank you all for joining. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you enjoyed all of our, I guess, stories and advice and tips and tricks we could offer. Hopefully you all were able to take something away that you could put into your own, day-to-day lives and your careers as well. Because, yeah, I mean, the industry is amazing. It's such a great industry. The people are amazing, the work is amazing, and I come to work every day constantly blown away by the community, so you guys and the people I interact with. So I'm very, very grateful. As a quick reminder, definitely in the description we've got the link to our Women in Dev Hub over on our website. Definitely check that out if you want to learn a little more. It's something we will update. It's a big thing, so it'll have updates gradually put onto that as well, so definitely check that out. And as always, any feedback on the streams greatly appreciated. You can send that through on the Discord, and if you have any questions as well for any one of us, I think ask them over on the Discord. I'm sure we'll be happy to answer any questions over there as well. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining. Enjoy your International Women's Day, enjoy your day in general, and we will see you all in the next stream. Goodbye.